Hello and welcome to my best and worst films of 2022. I'm gonna try to get the 2023 list done soon. I saw more than 70 movies, so I think I did a pretty good job. So let's not waste any more time. Happy holidays, and let's get into the best movies of 2022. Number 20 is Triangle of Sadness. This is a really good movie, and some of you might be wondering why it's number 20 if I love it so much. And the thing is, I do really enjoy it. I think it's funny. There's parts of this movie I really love, but there's also parts of this movie I feel so about, even though I do ultimately really think it's a good movie. It looks great, the acting's great, it's very funny, I get the social commentary of the movie, I think it's very topical and poignant, and I really enjoyed the movie overall. The stuff toward the end of the film, the stuff on the island, that was not as enjoyable for me. The highlights of the film were more so the stuff with Woody Harrelson on the boat. But that being said, definitely check this movie out. Was this some kind of triangle of sadness? I was trying to say it like Will Smith there. I don't think it was very successful. I don't think that was a good impression. Number 19 on my list is Glass Onion. The more times I've seen this film, the more I've picked up on, and it is very nuanced and complex. I love the writing of this film. I think it's a great script. I really commend the performances too. The ensemble cast of this film is so great. Edward Norton, Daniel Craig, Janelle Monáe, Dave Bautista, Kathryn Hahn, Leslie Odom Jr. It's just a great whodunit story. It does not surpass the first Knives Out, but it is a very entertaining film, and I really enjoyed this film. I've enjoyed all of Rian Johnson's work. I think he's a great director, and yeah, this movie, I mean, I've seen it a lot. I've seen it more than 3 or 4 times, probably, so I definitely enjoyed it. Number 18, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which is, of course, his version of the story, not the Pauly Shore one. That being said, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio has really stunningly beautiful animation. I just love the look of this film. I love stop motion. It looks so good, and it takes so much hard work and dedication to pull off that look, and this movie did it beautifully. This take on the story just took Pinocchio in a new direction that I didn't expect. It evoked these various emotions out of me. So definitely check out Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio on Netflix. That's a great freaking family film. Guillermo del Toro's interested in making more animated films. He's actually said he just wants to make animated films for the rest of his career. I don't know if he'll stick to that, but I think I'm looking forward to more. This is a great film, and it's a great proof of concept for Guillermo del Toro's future animated films as well. So definitely check out Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Marcel the Shell, a cute little animated stop-motion movie about Marcel, which is a little shell that goes around on a little adventure, and yeah, this movie's awesome. It's just fun. I made a review of this film. You can go check that out. I'll link it in the description. But yeah, check out Marcel the Shell. Number 16 is Pearl, directed by Ty West, who directed Cabin Fever 2 and of course X, which we'll be talking about later on this list. X didn't make my top 20, I'm just gonna say that now, but it's like a runner-up. It was a good film, but I liked Pearl actually much better. I thought it was better shot. I liked the more character focus on just the Mia Goth character, Pearl, and her journey. I felt like that was a good angle to take. It was almost kind of like Taxi Driver or something, but it works great for this movie, and it works great as a horror film as well. I think it delivers on like the kills and the blood and whatever, like that kind of crap that people look for in horror movies, but on its own, it's a good story about this woman who wants to, I want to be a star. There are lots of stylistic choices throughout the film where I just went, that's cool, like that's so cool and interesting, and yeah, definitely enjoyed this film. I loved it. Saw it in a theater by myself. Great experience, and I had a little snack too. Yeah, great experience. Speaking of theater experiences, number 15 is Avatar: The Way of Water. This is a big, ambitious, wet dream for James Cameron, this film. I really appreciate James Cameron's deep love for the ocean and exploring it and sea creatures, and this film is very pro-environmental. It's about, we need to save the ocean. Just like Avatar 1 was, we need to save the trees. This is, we need to save the whales and the fish because, big corporations are hunting the whales and killing them. These whales are super intelligent though, and they could communicate with Na'vi. It's like a wet dream for James Cameron. He just loves this stuff. Oh, imagine if I lived in a world where there were whales that could talk to me and I could ride on the back of a whale in the ocean. It's just like, okay, it's like a big fever dream for James Cameron. I get it. That being said, this movie's fucking awesome. I mean, it's fucking so cool. The 3D, the IMAX, like seeing the film in that environment, you really like are immersed in the world of Pandora. You forget that it's not a real place, and everything's so well like developed in the world. All the little plants and animals have names, and I get some people don't like this film and think it's corny and whatever, and it's just an amusement park ride, which is fine. I will admit it is kind of an amusement park ride. I mean, I admitted that. That being said, it's a really good amusement park ride. I like the Jake Sully character much better in this movie. There was a lot less of the white savior trope in this story, which I thought worked. I like the action in the film. I like the big finale and where that went. And yeah, of course, the CGI is groundbreaking. It looks, as about as realistic as it can at this point. It's definitely a game changer in terms of special effects, and it raised the bar in terms of special effects and CGI. Bones and All, starring Timothée Chalamet, directed by Luca Guadagnino. And I forgot Mark Rylance is in this movie too. He was good. Armie Hammer should have been in the movie. That would have been great. That would have made the movie just a little more authentic, to have a real cannibal. The movie has a great atmosphere with a really good score from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Luca Guadagnino is one of my favorite directors. Bones and All is a great disturbing film. Definitely check it out when you can. Decision to Leave, which I thought was great. It's a film by Park Chan-wook, one of my favorite directors. It's a Korean film. It's a mystery, drama, thriller sort of thing, and I'm not going to say anything about the story because I want you to see it unfold for yourself, and it's just great. You get to pick up on all these little subtle things the more time you watch it, and yeah, again, the less things I say about this film, the better. Just check it out. I love Park Chan-wook. He's a great filmmaker. The Whale, starring Brendan Fraser, who plays a man suffering from obesity, and it's a really depressing movie about that subject matter. This movie really made me upset for like a few days after I watched it. It was really hard to watch, and it was intense for me. This is an intense movie, but I mean, it handled the subject matter, I thought, really well, and I liked how, the story would focus on other aspects of the character, too. The fact that he's gay, his relationship with his daughter and his wife, or his ex-wife. Even though I found it disturbing, I really appreciated the beauty of the film as well. I really commend the director of this film, Darren Aronofsky, for capturing the mental state of this character. And yeah, it got really strong emotions out of me, and I loved the film. I thought it was fantastic. Number 11 is Aftersun. This is a really great movie that explores, the bond between a father and a daughter who are on vacation. And Paul Mescal in this movie was great. There's a lot of emotional depth to the storytelling. I like the way the film depicted memories in particular. I thought that was super interesting. I like the use of music in this film. The Queen song, Under Pressure, that was a great just use of that song, and the way it was remixed was so cool. Check out Aftersun. It's an A24 film as well. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, definitely check this out. Number 10 is Prey. That's right, boys. That's right. Prey. I reviewed this film already, but God, I can't say enough good about it. It just took such a cool approach to the Predator, and now it's one of the best Predator movies of the franchise. I thought it was great. Amber Midthunder in this film, I really liked her performance. I thought it was fantastic. Prey is one of the most ambitious and exciting action horror films of the year. Definitely check it out when you can on Hulu. They did not pay me to say that, I swear. Number 9 is Babylon, a film directed by Damien Chazelle. It's a very ambitious and experimental film. You know, the more I've seen this film and the more I think about it, the more I like it. The more I think, no, this is a film that actually has something to say. It's very long, but it's not boring. It's always got momentum and energy, and it's just a blast to watch. Really great performances from Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie. The whole cast was fantastic. This is a good story about Hollywood's silent era, so definitely check it out when you can. Number 8 is motherfucking Men. I don't know why I did that. Motherfucking Men is a surreal body horror film directed by Alex Garland, who is a very interesting writer and director who I love. Civil War is coming out very soon. That's directed by him. I really like him as a writer and director. Even this film, although it's controversial and some people find it to be, I guess, over the top, I thought the message hit home pretty well of the film, and I thought it was disturbing, very well done from a special effects level. Some of the best special effects it's like the best special effects I've ever seen. It looks so real. I also really commend Jessie Buckley's performance. I thought she was fantastic. Overall, Men is a great film, also from A24. Check it out when you can. Number 7 is Nope. This is Jordan Peele's third feature film. I did review this already, and like I said before, I thought the movie was great. Technically, it's very impressive. It's got standout cinematography, action, CGI. It's a horror film that has a lot of mystery to it, and it might even be Jordan Peele's best made film, although it doesn't quite have the same, I guess, cultural significance as a movie like Get Out. It is still a really good movie. Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer were great in this film. There were a lot of really effective, scary scenes. And yeah, definitely check out Nope. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I really enjoyed this movie. The Daniels did a great job exploring, the multiverse, and also just like making a funny, entertaining movie that basically anyone can enjoy. It's one of the most unique and original films I've ever seen. There's just nothing else really like it. I really praise it for succeeding in having a busy narrative that actually works, and it's actually like compelling. It doesn't just get like, all right, I give up on this. It always hooked me. I was always engaged in the characters and the story. Ke Kwan was great. Michelle Yeoh was great. Yeah, I love the score for this film as well by Sun Lux. Yep, definitely check out Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now we're in the top 5. Okay, this was really hard to order because I loved all these movies. This was such a good year for movies. The Northman, The Northman just had such a great atmospheric quality to it. I loved the brutality of the film, and also the score was great. Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, and Anya Taylor-Joy are fantastic in this movie. I think I said everything I needed to say about this film in a previous review, so check out The Northman. Top Gun Maverick. This movie had great action, lots of practical stunt work. I understand there was CGI used, CGI over the planes. The aesthetic of the film was to maintain a level of realism that you're actually watching real planes flying, which is not possible. Like when they made the first Top Gun, that wasn't possible to do, right? Because they just didn't have the resources. So it's just some guys sitting in a cockpit and they blow some wind and they shoot it with a long lens, and that's supposed to be someone in a plane. But this movie actually makes you really feel like you're in the cockpit of a plane, and the effects are just absolutely stunning. It's one of the best looking movies I've ever seen. It just never looks fake. It never takes you out of the action. This movie just does an excellent job of building this level of tension and making you care about these characters and what's going on. It's not just action the whole time. It really It has a great emotional punch to it too. I love the stuff with Val Kilmer in this film. They handled that so tastefully. Top Gun Maverick is an exciting, pulse-pounding action film, and if you haven't seen it by now, you probably have. But if you haven't seen it by now, definitely check it out as soon as you can. Number 3, The Fablemans, which is Steven Spielberg's autobiographical film. And I love this. I just thought it was so well done. The performances from Michelle Williams, Paul Dano. It's really well made, emotional. It's got great performances. It ends on a really good high note. A very funny ending to the film. Great guest cameo. Steven Spielberg is a director I love. His films are so whimsical and magical. Even with a story like this about Spielberg growing up, he can make it into something so fantastical and larger than life. It's a beautiful exploration of what his childhood meant to him, what his mom and dad meant to him, and it's very personal as well. It does not, go directions you necessarily expect walking into the film. It does get dark and dramatic, but I just love the way the film handled all of that. It's, Spielberg's a master. Definitely check out The Fablemans when you can. Spielberg's just knocking it out of the park recently between this and West Side Story, which I also really loved. Number 2 is The Banshees of Inisherin. I was really looking forward to this film, and it did not let me down. It's from the same director as 3 Billboards, and this film, it was pretty much about as good as that. It was just really funny, great script. The performances were amazing from Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. It was just funny and powerful. It really showcased Martin McDonagh's excellent screenwriting ability. There are themes that are explored in this film that are very dark, such as loneliness and self-loathing. However, the film never gets too dour. It manages to balance its comedic tone very well. It's shocking, has great characters, really great performances from Barry Keoghan. I thought Kerry Condon was fantastic in this movie. She's a very underrated actress. I loved her in Better Call Saul, and she's great in this movie. She deserved all the attention she got. Now I'm going to get to the number 1 film of the year. And again, this was very difficult to pick because there were a lot of great movies this year. I thought it was a great year for movies overall, 2022. But the number 1 movie of the year for me, and I feel it deserves it, is the film Tar. Tar is a great drama starring Cate Blanchett as a famous composer named Lydia Tarr. This character has to confront things from her past. I'm going to be very vague about the story in case you haven't seen it because I want you to see it for yourself. That's how I saw this film, blind eyes. I didn't know anything about it. I just let the story unfold. And yeah, it was incredibly gripping, and the way the film used every aspect of filmmaking to just enhance the emotion of the story. Just the editing and the way they chose to film scenes. Certain scenes were done in long takes. Certain scenes were cut very, quickly. Every part of the film had real purpose to it and was really thought about. It's a masterfully made film, super well done technically. It's intelligent, it treats you as an audience member with a lot of respect, and it lets you piece together this story on your own. It lets you interpret a lot. It leaves a lot of questions for you to answer, and that's what makes the movie so engaging. The performance from Cate Blanchett is just amazing in this film. The film was masterfully shot, has an excellent use of diegetic music. I thought it was incredibly well done. The less said about the actual story, the better in the case of this review. In case you haven't seen the movie, definitely check out Tar when you can. Check out all these movies when you can, because all these movies are really good. And I'm going to get to my runner-ups now. Happening, not The Happening. This film tackles very pressing issues having to do with women's rights, and it tackles these things in a very nuanced and subtle way, which I appreciate. It made me think a lot. It is a pro-choice movie. It's highlighting the, difficulties women face trying to get birth control, which shouldn't be a problem, except, there's so many obstacles, and it's so hard, especially for a young woman who is dealing with other things in her life and trying to have relationships, and it's very difficult, and it's a message I appreciated, and the film was just a well-made film on its own merits. It was well shot, the performances were very good and naturalistic. I cared about these characters in the film and the situation they were in and what was happening. Next is Vortex. It's from Gaspar Noé, one of my favorite directors. And the film is told in this kind of split screen style. You see an old couple kind of living their life, and one side of the screen is the guy, the other side of the screen is the woman, and that's the whole film. It's about them. It's about their son who's suffering from a drug addiction, and it's a Gaspar Noé film, so of course it does not have a happy ending, and it's just disturbing and anxiety-inducing. So enjoy that one if you would decide to watch it. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and I did not expect this film to be as good as it was, but yeah, it was excellent, and the animation was stunning. It was kind of like Spider-Verse style, except it was unique as well, but it was inspired by Spider-Verse, I think. The Batman was also very well done. I enjoyed the performances. I thought it was exciting, the use of action and CGI. I've said this before, but the effects in the movie are great. Like that whole car chase that was done entirely in CGI, that looks incredible. It looks real, and yeah, I love the lighting. I love the performances. Robert Pattinson was great. Zoe Kravitz. Yeah, definitely a good movie, The Batman. It's not as good as The Dark Knight. I mean, that's a pretty high bar to live up to, but it's a good Batman film. They did Batman justice with this movie. And I have a review of this one too. If you want to hear me talk more about the Batman, I'll link it in the description there. Next is Barbarian. This movie was a great theater experience. I had a blast watching this movie. It was so much fun. To me, this film was just so funny. There's this constantly unfolding story that you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know who's the bad guy. And I think the film, that's ultimately the strength of the film, is that it's so unpredictable. You have no idea where it's going to go, and the direction it goes is so fucked up that I loved it. Next is a film called Moonage Daydream, and this film, the movie gives you a good outline of David Bowie's life and why his music was so important and everyone loved it, but it also just delivers more of an immersive experience. It's more visual. You feel more like you're going on an emotional journey, more so than it's just a documentary that you watch and, this is how this guy grew up and whatever. Like, no, it's way more cinematic. I love Moonage Daydream for that reason, because it just delivers as a film. It's a great visual and auditory experience. While we're on the subject of documentaries, let me recommend another documentary that I really loved called Fire of Love. The film documents a real-life couple's emotional journey and their love for volcanoes, with really stunning footage that they captured. Definitely see this film. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. This movie was a lot of fun. It's a good, playful twist on the murder mystery genre. It's funny, topical, and has a great sense of humor. Next is Turning Red. This was another really good film from Pixar, much better than Lightyear. It's about a girl discovering she can turn into a panda. I definitely really enjoyed it. One of Pixar's better films recently. X. This is an A24 horror film from Ty West. The film Pearl was a sequel to X. They both came out the same year. Ty West is a busy guy. Definitely check out X. I may not have liked it as much as Pearl, but it was still a fun tribute to movies like Friday the 13th, and it had a good story. It was creepy. All the acting was good. It was well done. Good cast, Jenna Ortega and Mia Goth. Next is Crimes of the Future, a crazy Cronenberg romp with boobs and blood. Upon seeing this movie a couple times, I actually did enjoy it more and more. It's really out there and weird. And a lot of Viggo Mortensen gagging, but it's a good film. Next is Aftersun. This is a gripping A24 film about a family overcoming grief. It's very profound and well made, with great performances, including Colin Farrell. There's elements of science fiction in there as well, but it stays very grounded, and I just really cared about the characters and the story. Next is The Menu. I thought this movie was a lot of fun, very well shot, had really good social commentary. The Woman King, it was action-packed, it was powerful. I love the message of this film. I love that it's empowering to women. It has great action scenes. If it wasn't such a crowded year for great movies, this definitely would have been on my list because it's so well done. Women Talking, this is a very good movie, and I think it won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. It was written by the woman who wrote, is it a book or a play? Yeah, I don't know much about, the origins of it, but this was definitely a good film. I do think the look of it is a little flat, but that being said, when you just put aside like the look of the film, really good performances. The story explores women's rights really well. It has really good scenes, well constructed dialogue, and you should definitely check out Women Talking when you can. I believe Women Talking is on Amazon Prime if you want to check it out there. All Quiet on the Western Front, this is a really well done modern take on a classic. I haven't seen the original, but watching this film, I enjoyed it. It had good action scenes and it was pretty brutal. Solid performances, and yeah, I thought it captured that war and the brutality of it pretty well. Bullet Train, I reviewed this one already. Really enjoyed it, has good action scenes. 3,000 Years of Longing was an enjoyable film. I thought it was visually interesting, good performances from Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba. The third act, or like the last 20 minutes or so, is kind of weak. But that being said, I'm looking forward to George Miller's Furiosa movie, and I still think, if you like George Miller's films, you should check this one out. Elvis, okay, I'm not saying this is a great movie. It's really over the top and silly, and Tom Hanks is acting crazy in it, and I love the scene where they're describing Elvis to him, because, he plays the manager of Elvis. I can't remember his name at this moment, but he's, it's the scene where Tom Hanks goes, he's white. It's a crazy, over the top, inflated movie, and it's so fucking goofy, but I enjoyed it. I thought Austin Butler was good in it and had some pretty good scenes overall. And I did feel, especially when you compare it to that Bohemian Rhapsody movie, that movie is awful. I want to review that film one day, that Bohemian Rhapsody film with Rami Malek, because that movie is so terrible. It's so boring. What I like about Elvis is, okay, it's over the top. It's really silly, but at least it's enjoyable. At least it has a hook to the story. It's about Elvis's manager having control over him, and that's kind of like the whole running, the through line of the story. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, I thought this movie was fine. In some ways it's better than the first Black Panther film. At the same time, Chadwick Boseman is really missed here, and the movie, it's missing, Black Panther. Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness, I lowered my rating for this film, but I did still enjoy it. I still like the movie, and I mainly like it because I like Sam Raimi films, and I thought the Sam Raimi, stylistic flourishes in the movie were fun. The movie is really over the top in its violence, although plenty of people criticized the film for being a departure from WandaVision and how they developed her character in that film. And I think Sam Raimi has even said that he didn't see WandaVision or know anything about it, and that kind of shows in how they take her character in a direction here that just isn't really consistent with WandaVision. That being said, I do like that they made Scarlet Witch the villain. I thought that was fun, different at least. Bob's Burgers, the movie, I didn't watch the Bob's Burgers show. I just decided to put this movie on one day. It actually had some good musical numbers. I enjoyed the musical numbers in this movie, so I enjoyed it for that. It made me chuckle a couple of times, I guess. I'm sure Bob's Burgers is a fine show. Ambulance, this is a dumb Michael Bay film. It has everything you've come to expect from his films. Generic stereotypes and over-the-top dumb action scenes. That being said, though, it wasn't that bad. The drone shots were cool. Empire of Light, this is a film from Sam Mendes. I mostly found this movie kind of pretentious and dumb. It was just boring. It was incredibly boring to sit through. The Black Phone, I prefer the director's previous horror film, Sinister. I thought that was better. The younger girl's psychic powers never really came into play. See How They Run, this movie was okay. It was okay. Thor: Love and Thunder. Yeah, this movie was not great. I was a little lenient on it when I first saw it, but I only gave it a 6 out of 10, I think, which is not a great rating. Thor Ragnarok is definitely better, for sure. The movie was kind of just silly. I still think it's a better movie than Quantumania, though. White Noise, I agree with the general consensus on this movie. It was kind of generic. It was funny at times, but it was inconsistent, and it really lacked any depth. Smile, this movie definitely had a mixed response. I can't say I loved it. I can't say I hated it. I thought it was middle of the road, and it didn't stick with me like a lot of my favorite horror movies do. I think an issue I had with this film is I didn't really care about the characters much. Blonde, it had a great score. It looked visually very good, had good cinematography. I love the director, Andrew Dominic. I'm a big fan of his films, including Killing Them Softly. That being said, this movie just did not work. Spiderhead, it's with Miles Teller and Chris Hemsworth, who feel really miscast, and it's trying to be like this cool science fiction film that's like smaller scale, but it's just really boring ultimately. There's a point in this film where I just thought, why am I watching this? Memory, funny enough, I don't remember anything about this movie. Next is Lightyear. God, I can't wait for Toy Story 5, huh? At this rate, with the way Disney is going with their properties, and Disney could just not leave it alone. Go ahead and do it, but I don't have to like the movie. The Adam Project. This film is directed by Sean Levy, who is directing Deadpool 3. I'm definitely worried about Deadpool 3. Because I don't like this guy's movies. It's trying to be this whimsical Spielberg movie, but it just fails at being that. Blacklight with Liam Neeson. Yeah, bad movie. Halloween Ends. You know, this has gotta be one of the worst Halloween movies that has ever been released. I'm serious. It's even worse than Halloween Kills, and that movie was terrible too. And I don't know why I got so much flack for my opinion on the movie. There was this one part, there's this scene in the movie where Laurie, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, like teleports out of a room, and I'm like, how is she able to do that? What is she, Michael Myers too now? But no, people were like, oh, but in the Red Letter Media review, they said that it was all a dream sequence, and I'm like, okay, that was never really implied. That was a dream sequence, and I think there's like some evidence to prove that it wasn't a dream sequence actually. But you know, it just started this whole thing when, like, really the point I was making is that the movie's bad. And that's just like one part of the movie that's confusing and convoluted, which is like the whole movie. Like, why are we not focusing on Michael Myers? Why are we focusing on this random fucking character named Corey Cunningham? Like why is he becoming a serial killer when he's dating this hot chick? It doesn't make any sense. Like, the story doesn't make any sense. Fuck Halloween. Just stop these movies. I can't wait to see that Exorcist Believer movie, same director as these Halloween movies, David Gordon Green. I can't deal with David Gordon Green. I can't. The Gray Man, this movie was a piece of shit, and yeah, fuck this movie. Black Adam, this movie was also a piece of garbage. Dwayne Johnson's massive ego is just so apparent. It was just so fucking boring and dumb. It did not need to be made, and it was a big bomb, deservedly so. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, fuck this shit. Blumhouse, I hate you. I really do. Don't worry, darling. This has to be one of the most pretentious films I've ever seen. Not only is it just bad and forgettable, it's completely derivative of other movies, much better movies, and it just does nothing with these concepts. The character development in this film is incredibly weak. Harry Styles in this film gives one of the worst performances of the year. Not everyone gets this opportunity. It's me, Harry Styles. I'm just jealous of Harry Styles, right? Amsterdam, more like piece of shit. Got him. Fantastic Beats, The Secrets of Dumbledore. It might not be as bad as the one with Johnny Depp, that second one, Crimes of Grindelwald, but it's still a terrible movie with any kind of substance, and it's terribly shot and just dumb. It's fucking stupid. Pinocchio 2022. This movie was so bad that I started my own podcast to cover it. Pinocchio. Yeah, this is Robert Zemeckis' film. This has got to be the worst Robert Zemeckis movie. I've seen at least. And yeah, it's incredibly bad. I don't know why there was a scene of Pinocchio sniffing a pile of shit on the ground. That was totally unnecessary. Next is Jurassic World Dominion. Yeah, this movie fucking sucked. I reviewed this one. Go check out the review. That's a funny review.
No, wait. This is all very interesting. You just need to let me explain. I've brought you here since you're my genetic clone to defeat my other clone so we can take the Locust technology and destroy it.
I really don't care about any of this. Like I said, I just want to see some dinosaurs, if that's okay.
And he uses the Locust to influence the world's
Can you do that for me, mister?
Certain crops so that he can have control over which crops are used so he can feed his clone.
Uncharted. I like the Uncharted video games, is the thing, and I feel this is a horrible adaptation of those games. Mark Wahlberg looks nothing like Sully. He looks nothing like Victor Sullivan. Like, they just look side by side. They look nothing like each other. They didn't even put the mustache on him. I think it was a post-credit scene. He had the mustache. The movie sucked. It did not capture Uncharted at all, or what those games are about, why they're fun, what people like about them. It's a terrible movie. There's so much CGI during the action scenes, you can't even connect with anything that's going on. It doesn't look real. Next is The 355. This movie was such a waste of resources and talent. You know, you got all these talented actresses, Penelope Cruz and Jessica Chastain and Lupita Nyong'o and Diane Kruger. It's trying to be like this Ocean's 8 kind of thing where they get these women together and they're all spies, but the movie is so unrealistic. And I gotta say, I hate this movie. I just hate it for its, you know, it's insulting to my intelligence. That's why it's kind of fun doing these best of the year videos so long after these movies come out, because people are like, oh yeah, I remember that movie when it came out. That was pretty bad, or that was pretty good. But yeah, the 355, the action scenes are terrible. The story is terrible. Yeah, Sebastian Stan's in the movie too. That's right. He's like the villain or something. The Munsters. This movie is just so incompetent. It looks so fucking cheap and bad. I can't give it anything but a 1 star. Like, why did they even release this film? It feels unfinished. This film is so poorly made, and I guess it's not quite unwatchable, which is why I didn't give it a 1/2 star. Then I gotta put Morbius. The Morbin time meme was iconic. So many iconic moments and parts. Matt Smith dancing. That being said, the movie is just one of the worst things to come out in years, not just this year. Or the year, not this year, the year of 2022. It is one of the worst movies of the century. It is one of the worst superhero movies, for sure. I can't fathom the awfulness of Morbius. It has to be studied. Scientists need to study Morbius for years to come. It's such a film. It is definitely a film of our time. But as far as movies that you would actually see in a theater, Morbius has got to be one of the worst films ever released. It made me like movies less, actually. I like movies less now that I've seen Morbius. Eraser Reborn. This movie was fucking awful. And finally, the final movie on my list is R.I.P.D. 2. I hate R.I.P.D. 1, but did you even know there was an R.I.P.D. 2? Yep. And it's unwatchable. We did it. That's the best of the year. That's everything. That's every single movie, I think. Did I miss anything? It's another successful year for the best of the year. And I'll get to the next list as soon as possible. I want there to be at least a little bit of a gap in between each one. So let's try to aim for February for best of 2023. I think that's good, like around Oscar time. I'll see you guys for the best of the year, best of 2023. Real soon. So thanks for watching. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy New Year, happy birthday if it's your birthday coming up. Happy whatever, happy holiday. If you made up a holiday for yourself, happy holiday for you.